Okay, welcome to Buddy Woken. I'm your host, Buddy. This is the first broadcast of Buddy Woken. New podcast. Open thinking, free talking. Or free thinking and open talking. Whichever one you want. However that works for you. Okay. It is that time of year. It's time to garden. Get ready for a garden. Plant a garden. Buy some plants. Plant some plants. All that fun stuff. Seriously, it is fun stuff. I started doing it last year, and if there's anything I would encourage anybody to do for a first time, if you haven't done it yet, you need to plant some plants. I don't care what they are. I don't care where you live. You can find a way to do it. There are millions of articles online on how to do it. There's tons of books. I come from a family of gardeners on both sides. Both my sets of grandparents were growing stuff. Mostly my grandma on my dad's side and my grandpa on my mom's side were sort of the main ones that were always out there planting and arranging and growing stuff. It is a totally worthwhile hobby. You can ask anybody who already does it. Especially nowadays where we don't know where a lot of our food's coming from, what they're putting in it. Being able to grow your own food, know where it comes from, and really be a part of the whole process. I don't think I have to list all the pros out for you. There's very few cons. A little sweat, very minimal, depending on how you do it. You don't need to do a whole lot. Even if it's just buying a potted plant and taking care of it. There's plenty of studies out there. I don't have any of them pulled up right now about how it can help with depression and anxiety. There's all these natural benefits of being in touch with the earth around you, the soil. The list goes on and on, literally. There is so much that can be done with gardening. It's kind of limitless. I highly encourage it. Please, please, please go out, start some gardening. You will not regret it. Today actually, in anticipation, I got some plants. I'm in a great situation. It's one of the main reasons I got into gardening. I live right next to a greenhouse. In fact, my landlord is the one who owns and operates it. He and his wife. She's the main one who does pretty much all of it. But they have just so much in the greenhouse right now. It's like there's 6 bays, and I can't really get into the main side. If you've ever seen a good sized greenhouse, I'm talking, this thing stretches for a bit. And I can't say enough about how good of a job they do. It's amazing. If you're around the area I live in, Pennsylvania, Wyattville Gardens, it's just an amazing greenhouse. And so today I went, and actually my parents had stopped in to get some plants themselves. They told me to come on up, and thank you, Mom and Dad. I got up there, and Dad was like, hey, your mom's buying. Pick out whatever you want. I was already planning on going up there anyway at some point. But Dad and Mom my parents were the ones that really helped support me get into gardening last year. My dad got me lumber to build 4 raised beds, 8 foot by 4 foot. So that's literally, what did I figure it out to? Something like 128 square feet total is what it came out to that I've got. Yes, 128 square feet total. And you can plant a lot in a square foot, depending on what it is. For example, in a square foot, just consider this in a square foot. And I, by the way, recommend Mel Bartholomew's Square Foot Gardening Method. You can find his books and resources online, Amazon or anywhere else. Again, that's Mel Bartholomew, Square Foot Gardening. If you're new to it, definitely look at his methods. Very helpful, very easy to follow. His soil mixture is very basic and almost weed free. But you can play around with it. You don't have to follow his directions to the letter unless you want, to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I didn't follow his directions to the letter. I used it sort of as a template. So, like I was saying, in a square foot, you can put about, anywhere from, like if it's carrots, I think you can put up to like 10 to 16 carrot plants, and those will yield somewhere from, like 3 to 6, maybe even more, maybe like 5 to 9 carrots each, depending on how good your soil is and how much you take care of them and water them and all that stuff. Keep the weeds out of there. There is just so that's just carrots. Lettuce, you can put a ton of lettuce in a square foot. You can plant about 1 tomato plant per square foot. I mean, there's guidelines for all this. Don't take this all as gospel. I'm just saying there's a ton of information online, and it's so easy to do, and you get such a good yield. And then, of course, you can can this stuff, you can preserve it, you can freeze some of it. You can freeze tomatoes right off. I found that out. Dad showed me. He was like, yeah, you can totally just take tomatoes that you grow in your garden, wash them up and throw them in some plastic bags and throw them in the freezer. I still have some in the freezer from last year. I should use those soon. But squashes they keep such a long time. I still have a butternut squash that came out of my parents' garden. I still have it. It's fine, still firm, perfectly good. We're gonna get some seeds out of that and dry them and plant some more butternut squash. I might try that. I don't really have the space for squash. It really spreads out. You kind of need a garden for squash, or a dedicated garden bed. I might be adding another 8x4 garden bed maybe next year. I didn't want to do it this year. I just wanted to work on the garden beds I already had. It actually was a lot of work for me to get those together and fill them up with soil, because they're 8 inches high. Is that? Yeah, 8 inches high, and that's actually a lot of soil, garden soil. Thankfully, also had a great connection on that. My landlords are awesome. They hooked me up with. They have a big compost area back a little further down the road from where I live. And within walking distance, I was able to go up and fill wheelbarrows with this old used garden soil that had composted with old plants and stuff for like this. They dump it every year. So every year that stuff, all those dead plants and vegetables and flowers and stuff are composted in there. It's amazing soil. I had stuff explode last year. It was like, I think I was maybe a month after I had planted, maybe a month and a half. I don't know. It just all of a sudden everything just took off. It was insane. The potato plants turned into potato bushes. I had sunflowers that went well over 10 feet. They probably got up to close to 15 feet, if I remember correctly. They were huge. Obviously, I can't show you pictures on here right now, at least not yet. I'll try to figure that out, though. Like I said, I'm new to the whole podcasting thing. These broadcasts are just going to go up on YouTube for the time being, so just for easy accessibility for friends and family. Anyway, so I'm excited. This time of year is so there's just, I've got relatives where they're just they put anybody to shame around here. I can't believe some of the gardens some of my family members put up. Just some of the people around here in general. Where I live in Pennsylvania, I think I don't remember what region it is. There's different regions that help you figure out when it's a good time to plant your plants. I suggest looking that up. if you are serious about getting to start a garden. But around here, our growing season's pretty long. We can go for a bit because it's already warm enough now. It has been warm enough. I could have started some hardier things like kale and chard and Swiss chard and rainbow chard and stuff like that. I could have started those. Probably, what else? Oh, kohlrabi, maybe. I probably could have started kohlrabi for sure. That's an early spring thing too. But the growing season can go clear into the fall, and that's where you get a lot of people planning a second garden. I tried a little bit of that last year, and I think because it was the first year I was doing it, the soil was a little wore out, so I didn't. I didn't get too much luck out of the second growing. Some kale came. Your greens are I feel in my experience, in my vast 1 year of experience already doing this, I would say you're safe with your lettuces, your greens. They're easy. You're easy. If you're looking to eat healthier, at least start with greens. Herbs, your own herbs. Oh my goodness. My cousin, she lives in Florida, so her growing season's basically forever. She got into it too, her and her boyfriend, and they planted some really great stuff. They got some cucumbers, I think they got some tomatoes, zucchini, and basil. They had this basil plant that just took off, I guess, and they made pesto. Oh, there's nothing better than fresh pesto. I bought, that was what I didn't buy it. My parents bought it for me today. God bless them. I got some great basil plants, purple, and I think it's Genovese is how you pronounce it. That's your basic basil. Oh man, I literally can't wait to see these things grow. I think I got 4 of each. That's a lot of basil, and I'm gonna get more. Like I almost want one half of my garden bed to be all basil and the rest to be lettuce and Swiss chard and kale and stuff like that. Seriously, I'm that serious about fresh greens coming out of the garden, because there's nothing like fresh lettuce. Forget that stuff you get in the store. I don't care if it's organic spring mix. That it's just not the same. Period. Not the same at all. If you hear some background noise, it's because it's very warm today. I've got the windows and doors open. Usually, I've been doing some test recordings, and I've tried to close everything up, but screw it. It's a beautiful night. There's a cool breeze coming on, but it's very humid. I don't have air conditioning, so I am leaving doors and windows open, and this is just me doing a first broadcast, talking about whatever. I knew gardening, I was going to have to talk about that first, because it's been on my mind. My parents were just here a couple hours ago, and we were up there getting stuff. And I mean, I got broccoli, 4 broccoli plants. I got different peppers. I got a purple bell pepper. I really hope peppers are real touchy, but I really hope that makes it. I would love some purple bell peppers. I want to see how they taste. Better bell peppers, that's just your basic green bell pepper. That's one thing, if you can grow it, because there's, again, just like anything else you grow, you won't ever taste anything like it. You won't ever buy anything that tastes that good unless it's at a farmer's market where somebody actually took care of it, grew it, loved that plant. That's really what gardening is. You're putting love into those plants, and they will. I mean, hey, things happen. You get frost, you get, too much. Some people water things too much. Some people don't water enough. You lose plants. There's plenty of funguses and diseases that insects spread into plants and stuff. I mean, it teaches you a lot of gardening teaches you a lot about the fragility of a lot of these plants, how difficult it is to grow food. It helps me understand a little bit better why we rely so much on industrial farming. Honestly, you look, your average person in America today is way too lazy to grow anything. Uh, that's a little unfair. There's a lot of people that are just too busy as well. They got a lot going on. They don't have the time. I'm single and live by myself, so I don't even have a pet. So the plants become my pets this time of year, and it's really easy for me to take the time. But even I feel a little crunched for time when you add, full days of work along with, you had stuff to do around your house and places to go, people to see, stuff like that. Some people just don't have time. So you begin to understand why we rely so much on industrial farming, but it's also kind of sad because this stuff is nowhere near the quality that you can grow yourself. You should really look into at least growing something. There are small things you can easily grow that will make you happy, and not only to eat the bounty you get from it, but to take care of those plants. So, yeah, I'm excited because I got, what was I saying? Yeah, peppers, again, they're amazing the way they taste, just so good. What else? Broccoli. I haven't tried broccoli before, so we're gonna go for that, see what happens. Brussels sprouts, also excited about that. Got to watch where I plant those because I did have some cabbage in the garden last year. I guess you can't plant cabbage plants in the same place. You got to rotate them around. If you had one in a certain area, you can't. I don't know why. I didn't look into that. That's just something I read. Fun fact. What else did I grab today? Some tomatoes, some San Marzano, I think. Those are Italian tomatoes, plum tomatoes. Yeah, plum, I think. I think it's plum. Anyway, those are the sweet ones that are great for spaghetti sauces. If it's outside of, if it's winter time and you don't have any access to fresh ones, they say the best ones for spaghetti sauce or anything like even soups. Really, but specifically spaghetti sauce, you want to get San Marzano tomatoes, that variety, canned, imported from Italy. I've got them before. There is a difference. You wouldn't think there's a difference in canned tomatoes. There is a huge difference. But as far as growing them, I've never grown them before. I'm really excited about that. I got some super sweet cherry tomatoes as well. Those plants could get a little wild. Dad was telling me because he's grown cherry tomatoes. I've seen his cherry tomato plants before, and I believe this is an indeterminate variety, so that means they will not stop growing unless you prune them back. So it's going to be an adventure with those because last year I had the same issue. Dad gave me heirloom tomato seeds that have been passed down in the family for I think I'm the fourth generation to get them. Third or fourth, probably fourth. Who knows how long these go back in the family. They came from the old country, I think Ukraine or Poland. Got them from my great aunt, who sadly just recently passed away. Rest in peace, Aunt Mary. So that'll be cool growing these tomato plants again. She just passed away a couple of weeks ago, actually. So that'll mean a little bit more. I'd like to have a good crop of them, maybe to give out to the family as well, just as a remember Aunt Mary. She was very instrumental in helping my dad and mom with their gardening, and her and my grandfather were, on my mom's side, were twins, and he was the gardener too, like I said before, and they just incredible influence on the whole family and teaching my parents how to garden. Now they're passing a lot of this stuff on down to me, and it's just really, I get really pumped up about this. And when I started, I wasn't quite sure how this first broadcast was going to go for the podcast, but this is a really exciting topic for me right now. My parents really got me going today by stopping by and buying me these plants. I mean, I could have easily bought them myself, but there's just something great when someone buys you stuff, huh? Yeah, It's even they're not even that expensive, but I bought quite I got quite a bit. So yeah, it wasn't too bad, but I really appreciate my parents coming over and doing that. That's the other thing I'm throwing in the garden this year. Super excited about that I did not do last year. I got marigolds. They're the pretty deep red and bright yellow and deep orange. They look like fire. The colors on these marigolds, and they're really great, really good flower to have in your garden. They attract beneficial insects that like bees and pollinators, and I think maybe the good spiders too. Anyway, I didn't get too deep into it, but I think they kind of repel bad insects as well, like ones that would eat your plants. I'm not entirely sure about that though. Anyway, there's other countermeasures you can take if you get overrun by particular insects. And there's homemade sprays you can do with habanero pepper and apple cider vinegar and garlic. You can boil all that into a tea with water and spray that on, to get rid of fire ants and other pesky insects and whatnot. But anyway, like I was saying, flowers. I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you. I'm going with shotgun approach on this because this is all the stuff that's running around my head. I want to get it down and into an audio form. Anyway, helps me organize my thoughts about all of it. So yeah, you got. I want more flowers. I want some foliage in the garden bed, so it's not just plants. Which plants are, hey, they're, especially when they bear the fruit and the vegetables and stuff, they're really nice to look at. But no, seriously, I want to get some color going on. I want to arrange it, make it look nice, get a nice design going on. Absolutely. So very exciting stuff. Very excited about the garden. Again, I can't encourage you enough. Garden. If you can, do it. Very exciting stuff. Very fun. If it doesn't tickle your fancy, I get it. Not everybody is that into it. If you're really not that into it, I'd at least encourage you to go to a local farmer's market. Talk to some of those vendors. They're some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet because they're working really, really hard. And I got to say, any farmer's market I've been to, and I lived in some pretty upscale areas, and even those farmers markets, really affordable produce, I found. If you've got good farmers around, if you've got good farmland around, I don't think you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for most of your vegetables and produce and lettuces and stuff like that. And we're talking like these people love what they do. So, and you talk to them and you get some stuff from them. I dare you to go out and just go out and get, like I said, some lettuce from a local farmer. Get some root vegetables. Get some squash and some peppers, and make something and tell me that it's not better than what you get in a store. I mean, and you'll treat your ingredients better, and these ingredients are going to treat your body better. So even if you're not into gardening, support people who garden. If you've got friends that garden, definitely ask them if they can. If you can get some of their stuff, if they have a big harvest, they're gonna ask you if you can take some of it. If they're good gardeners, they're gonna have more than they can handle. So, please get into that. More people should be interested in it. It helps so many different things. If anything, it's helping the bees. It gives them something to pollinate, which is in turn going to help your garden and help you even more. I really want to get bees someday. I want bees near my garden. I would love to have my own couple hives of bees. That would be so much fun. My dad has done it before, and they got great honey out of it. Oh my goodness, so good. But bees, man, that's rough. They got it rough right now. I think they're doing better. I see more of them than I did in years past. I hope we stop spraying so much crap. pesticides, and we're just throwing a lot of unnecessary junk onto plants, even on the side of the roads. But we spray on the side of the roads just to cut the weeds down and stuff. I don't know. We've got to find. There's got to be better solutions for this. We've got to stop killing bees. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. That's a whole different podcast, and plenty of other people have done that. We can definitely look up plenty of information on that. So online and whatnot, plenty of documentaries. Good one to look up as well. So, okay. I think I wore myself out there talking about all the gardening stuff going on. I was going to talk about some other stuff today too that I found pretty interesting. When I woke up and saw some of this stuff on the news, on Twitter, on the Twitters. The Twitters were tweeting this morning when I woke up. Fran Lebowitz, she's I'll look up and see exactly what it is she does. I don't really have a clear idea of what it is actually she has ever done. I know she's an author. I know she's a bit older, been around for a bit though. She was I think she was big in the New York scene, like Studio 54 parties, and always on the scene, fashion stuff like that. I'm pretty sure. So let's see. She was on Real Time with Bill Maher last night, and we're shifting gears here. I just spent a lot of time talking about gardening. Now I'm going to talk about current events, a little bit of stuff we see in the news, a little bit what's going on Twitter. I just recently got back into Twitter. It's been a hoot. A lot of funny stuff on Twitter. Okay, so she is primarily an American author. She was born in 1950. Oh, she's 68 years old, for crying out loud. No wonder she's saying crazy stuff. She's always been really outspoken, liberally. Yeah, she's a public speaker, occasional actor. I know I've seen her in stuff. I think she played a judge in a movie I watched one time. But anyway, yeah, she's mostly just a writer. Essay collections. She's got her political views are, she's a liberal Democrat. Hey, nothing against those. I'm personally more of a conservative. I'm not officially a Republican. I still need to fix that. I was very much a liberal Democrat for quite a few years. And then I sort of joined that walk away movement after saw some of the attitudes of these liberals get so crazy after Trump was elected. But anyway, yeah, she's a liberal Democrat. She was on Real Time with Bill Maher last night. If you ever watched the show, you already probably know where this is going. You might have even already heard about it. She does not pull her punches when it comes to criticizing Republicans. She is definitely no lover of Democrats. She's very elitist in how she speaks. She's very intellectual. She says stuff about Bernie Sanders. At one point she called him an unbelievably irritating, narcissistic old man who took votes away from her candidate choice, Hillary Clinton. She describes Ronald Reagan as the template for the stupid president, saying that before Reagan there was no idea the president could be stupid. But after Reagan, I guess he ushered in the stupid president. So she's on. So that's kind of what you kind of got a flavor for how she talks about politics and people she doesn't like. She had an interesting quote last night. Obviously, she doesn't like Trump at all. And she was talking about him. And she said, so we know about that journalist Khashoggi who got caught there by the Saudi Arabians. I still don't know everything about that whole story, but he was that reporter who was tortured in some secret room in an embassy. And she said, she said about Trump, we should turn him over to the Saudis, his buddies, the same Saudis who got rid of that reporter, maybe they can do the same for him, talking about Trump. So maybe they can torture him, kill him. And, of course, a lot of people got upset about that. A lot of people getting angry. And a lot of people, not surprising at all, especially on Twitter, voicing support. Which to me was more, I don't care what some elitist liberal says about Trump. And she's not the first person to speak out about Trump or wishing for his death. Definitely not the first. That is not none. That has already happened. Johnny Depp did it. And Kathy Griffin did that artsy photo of her with a severed head of Trump. So to me, this is like her comments pretty like, it's like, okay, of course you said that. You have to say that. You identify as this, intellectual, liberal, Democrat, elite kind of, I don't even know how to describe her, intellectual for the people. That doesn't even sound right. But of course she has to say stuff like this. It's like they're all parroting one another. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. Johnny Depp did it. I guess there's whole Robert De Niro hates his guts. Snoop Dogg. I don't know if they've ever actually said. Yeah, Mickey Rourke hates him. He wanted 30 seconds in a room with Trump, probably to beat him up. George Lopez. Don't really hear much from George Lopez anymore. Mexican-American comedian. Yeah, he tweeted some insensitive image. So, yeah. This is not the first time this has happened. Rosie O'Donnell. There you go. Another one that hates his guts. Yeah. Madonna, Robert De Niro. Yeah, he's talked about wanting to punch him in the face. Kathy Griffin, obviously holding up a severed head. There's other examples. Moby musician, he doesn't like him. Oh yeah, Anthony Bourdain said he would have served him hemlock, which is poison. He told that to a TMZ video crew. So, but okay, yeah. Here you go. This is what I'm saying. I mean, this is part of the narrative for these liberal celebrities. Talking like this. It's a really dumb way to talk, if you ask me. It's really irresponsible. Not even dumb. It's a really immature. This is like grade school stuff. But unfortunately, these people have a lot of influence, and when they say stuff like this, it emboldens other people, other liberals, other Democrats to feel like that's an okay thing to say, because they view it as socially acceptable when a celebrity does it. Because, love it or hate it, we live in a society today where we're going to mimic what we see celebrities do. I mean, look at how much attention celebrities get for how much they influence society, like the Kardashians and any celebrity, any of them. They have a platform. There's a reason why millions of people follow them. They're very electric personalities. They are dynamic people. Some of them aren't even talented. They just have mass followings because people just want to be like them, look like them, sound like them. So when you have these people with mass followers who enjoy being entertained by these celebrities because they don't want to go out and live their own lives and improve their own worlds. Sorry, this is, no, I'm not trying to, rain on anybody's parade, but this is really what goes on a lot. This is a trap we all fall into with our favorite celebrities. I've got some of my favorite celebrities that I want to be like. And it's real easy to turn your brain off after they say something and go, oh, yeah, yeah, why, because I listened to the audio clip when Fran Lebowitz said it, and there's people clapping. And then, this morning get on Twitter, and there's people going like, oh, I just love her so much. I'm so glad she said that. She should have said that a long time ago. What? She should have? She should have said that a long time ago? Why? Because not enough people have said it already? I just listed out for you several celebrities who've already imagined violence against him or wished him dead. Or, Anthony Bourdain said he'd serve him poisonous herbs or whatever hemlock is. I need to research that one a little bit more. It's just kind of some of it I do laugh at, not because I'm a fan of comedy, and some of these guys are just like, they're just talking out of the side of their mouth and being dumb. I mean, everybody's guilty of that to one extent or another. I'm not gonna track down each one of these quotes about people wishing harm against President Trump. And honestly, I don't even like Trump that much. I think some of the jokes about him are pretty hilarious. But most of them are just they're very poor jokes. They're done in poor taste. They're very lazy jokes. It's so easy to make fun of a president who's also sort of a caricature. Trump's very much a caricature of himself. He markets himself that way, I think intentionally, to draw people out and make them behave this way. He's very good at what he does in that sense, and it's very interesting to watch him do it, because it really confounds a lot of these liberal types, because they don't know how to maintain their sort of self-righteousness and how they're always being tolerant and inclusive. They don't know how to maintain that veneer of being open and not getting upset easily. And most of them are just upset all the time with Trump for all kinds of reasons, like literally all kinds. I think the big reason they're upset with him, honestly, has nothing to do with his politics. I think I saw it clearly in Bill Maher leading up to the election. He had a guest on, and the guest asked him, he was like, are you one of those, something like, are you one of those people who has to be right or has to be loved? I think it was has to be loved. Because Bill Maher was complaining about Trump and how he needs complete loyalty and allegiance and for people to love him because he's so egotistical. And Bill Maher said, no, I don't need people to love me. He goes, I need people to agree with me. And I thought about that, and I realized that there are some of these liberal Democrat celebrities who are mad at Trump not because of his politics at all. Perhaps. I'm speculating here, but I don't even think that's really the real reason they're angry with him. I think they're angry with him because they're like, why didn't I think of that before him? Why didn't I think about running? Why didn't I think about saying exactly what I think and feel, appealing to a political base, building it up like he did? They're mad at him because they laughed him off. They said he was dumb for trying. They all made fun of him because I think secretly they were like, I can't believe he's doing that. I wish I could do that. I think it's like secretly some were thinking, I wish I had the cojones to go and do something like that. But they didn't. And so they mocked and ridiculed him. And some of that was earned, honestly. I mean, I'm sorry if you're a lover of Trump here, but I'm not sorry. The guy is outspoken and pretty outlandish at times, just strictly for the sake of gaining more and more attention. And it worked. It worked. I don't agree with all his methods for sure, especially those ones. Some of the outlandish things he said, the way he insults other people on Twitter and stuff like that, he's no better than some of these other types on there, liberal or conservative. Once you go down the name calling thing, you've already lost me. I'm just like, sorry, we're adults here. This is supposed to be the information age. We have access to all this information. There's so much growth we can be doing. If you're going to start name calling, I mean, yeah, is it kind of funny when people get into these little Twitter wars and whatnot? Yeah, it's a little funny. Especially if the people are witty and they can get a good rise out of somebody. It's always fun to watch a good back and forth like that if it's entertaining and no one's getting hurt or, no one's being really untoward or really hateful. I like a good laugh. I like good comedy in entertainment like anybody else, but I don't like the jabs that are way too personal. Like Trump joked about McCain a couple times. I didn't like that. I mean, I definitely didn't agree with McCain on a lot of his politics, and I thought he got real wishy-washy near the end and did a lot of virtue signaling and tried to make it sound like he was really, pretty superior to the rest of his party. But at the same time, he's an okay guy. If you're a veteran and you're a POW, at some point in your life, you got to give people respect for that, not make fun of them for it. So when I see stuff like this, I figure, it's pretty much all par for course with these celebrities and these intellectuals and these talking heads. They get going on this, and it's more embarrassing for them to even be speaking this way. Like I said, very immature, very irresponsible comments. I guess Fran Lebowitz sort of I did watch her like half-ass apology after, and she said she blamed it on having 12 cups of coffee. She didn't really even know what she was saying. It was just like, oh, whatever, you knew what you were saying. She was very excited. Like, you could tell she was excitable just even talking about Trump, and she does not like the guy. So she said, but also you're live on a talk show that millions of people watch. Be a little bit more responsible. She said she regretted saying it. Yeah, I'll take that. Bill Maher was trying to, even he was just like, hey, come on, like, you don't really want him to be dismembered and tortured. You're obviously not saying that. He's like, I hate Trump, but I don't wish that on him and stuff. So he was, Bill Maher, always trying to be a little bit of a voice of reason. He's gotten way worse than when Obama was in office. And when Obama was in office, Real Time with Bill Maher was a much better show. But he hates Trump so much that he kind of ruins the show. And I stopped watching it, although I might have to check out a few episodes here just to see if he's cooled down a little bit. I want to give him a little space just to temper it a bit. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say on that topic. The only thing I'm going to add, though, and I touched on it a little bit earlier, is just the whole, like, simmer down with jumping on these celebrities' bandwagons when they say stuff like this. If you're on Twitter and you're going like, yeah, he should be tortured and killed, like, and you're trying to get people to understand where you're coming from, immediately you've lost like 90% of the people that you might have been able to reach. You don't deserve to have anybody listen to you at that point if that's what you're saying. Conservative or liberal. People said stuff like that when Obama was in office. Conservatives were saying stuff like that. People I knew, friends of mine, well, not so much friends of mine, but I worked service industry, and you meet, there's, if you're working behind a bar as a bar back, which is what I was doing, you're going to hear what folks, small town, you're going to hear what everybody thinks about stuff, and some of the stuff that people would just say about Obama and stuff was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Just horrible things along the same lines as this. Want somebody to kill him, want somebody to take him out. That is just, and other politicians as well. That's just awful. That is just, you're not being responsible at that point. You're not contributing to a productive dialogue. we have politics in place. We have policymakers, lawmakers in place that we vote in, some that we don't, some that just have power and authority as being parts of various branches of the government and stuff. But these people, these are Americans. We're all Americans. We have to be better than that, obviously. I don't think that needs to be said. I'm kind of surprised that we are getting at a point where we're needing to say it more when it comes to people making controversial remarks like this. We need to get a little bit beyond ourselves. And it's not showing us in a good light to the rest of the world either. I know there's plenty of crap that goes on in other parts of the world that's even worse than here. We still live in a great country. We are still capable of having great dialogue. Twitter is not just a mad mob of people constantly screaming at one another on different sides of these issues, although it can get like that a lot. But I have noticed really constructive discussions, and that is what I'm hoping to bring to the table as well with this podcast. That's why I called it Buddy Woken. My nickname has always been Buddy, and Woken is kind of a satirical take on the woke generation that I'm a part of. I want to root that in reality, not just idealism. Okay, you've got idealism on one side that is very obsessed with reaching the highest potential of anything almost instantaneously, living as if it is supposed to be that ideal you have in your mind for how the world should be. Everybody should just agree with it. That's kind of what I look at as woke people are when they say I'm woke. You watch a documentary about climate change and you feel like you're woke and you're going to go out and you're going to become an activist for climate, for climate awareness, and stuff like that. And you literally get this big old savior complex going on. You think that you're really going to do something and you're going to change the world by protesting or being more of an activist. And there's really nothing wrong with that, but it's starting to really become very hypocritical, a bit ridiculous. And so Buddy Woken is me kind of going and sifting through different things in life, and really getting, like, let's look at this realistically. Let's look at this from a realistic, practical standpoint, and instead of just going straight for the idealistic approach. And this applies to both conservatives and liberals. We've got to back off of what we think it absolutely has to be, and we've got to see what's the work really going to take to get what we want. I don't begrudge liberals, because I was one for such a long time. I don't begrudge liberals for the change they want to see happen, because some of them are good-hearted with great intentions that love this country just as much as your hardcore patriotic conservative who loves his guns and wants secure borders. Okay? That's the big problem we're seeing, is if we see somebody leaning a little bit to the other side of an issue that we disagree with, then automatically we're going, that's un-American. That's not what this is all about. This is not what this country's about. And we can't hear each other. We're not backing off from our positions long enough to take a look over and see where that person's really coming from. And something that's getting highlighted a lot today on Twitter, in podcasts that I listen to, is how much most of us are actually really in the center of things. Like, we're either liberal or conservative, but we're leaning a little bit into the center. We're starting to realize, hey, I can be pro-life, pro-gun, and pro-legalization of weed or something like that. We're starting to see these different mix and mashups of things. And people, especially younger people, are starting to be a lot more thoughtful about this stuff, and the walkaway movement for liberals is happening. I'm seeing. I was amazed when I first got on Twitter and saw how many gay black men, as one example, there's at least 2 or 3 that I follow now that are totally Trump supporters, and these are reasonable gentlemen that present their arguments clearly and articulately, not just yelling or all caps tweeting stuff that is fake or not real. These are like some real intellectual thinkers, and not just party yes men, is what I'm trying to say. These aren't just parrots. These are people that thought about it seriously. And I'm seeing more and more. In fact, the walkaway movement was started by a white gay guy. I don't remember his name, but I follow him on Twitter. I'll have to get back up and look that up. This is something to really start really considering here. Like, what's going on? Because I don't hear that kind of stuff in regular media. It's, I might be wrong about a couple stuff I said there. I was just trying to drop some examples, mostly to show that there's a new wave of thought happening about these issues, whether it be transgender rights or abortion or weed or immigration, securing our borders or not securing our borders, all these very hot topics. There's really reasonable thought happening right now, and there are people that you'd be surprised on both sides of the spectrum of liberal and conservative. You'd be surprised with what some people think. You'd be surprised how many. I bet you'd be surprised how many conservatives are out there that are pro-choice. Or how many, there's more. I'm hearing more and more liberal-minded folks finally coming out and kind of feeling like it's okay to say, like, oh, I really don't like abortion. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more pro-life now. There is nothing about your identity, your basic identity, whatever your gender, race, ethnicity, age. There's nothing about any of those things that determines exactly what you are supposed to think about any of these issues. You are to think for yourself. You are to look into these issues for yourself, come to your own conclusions based on your own research and your own personal feelings about these topics. This is how it happens. Hopefully you do that reasonably. Hopefully you do that with good information from various sources, not just one or two, that mostly say things you agree with. Hopefully you're out there looking at stuff. I'm trying to get better about that. And I really hope that you're not wishing death on a president or any other elected official that's in office, unless they've done something really, really horrible that would deserve us to maybe, think about that. I'm thinking of very extreme cases, like, a Hitler or something, like a criminal. But if it's just a matter of disagreeing, I think we can come up to a better way to argue points we disagree with than wishing death on one another. Because I see that on Twitter too. And so that's what this space is going to be more for. Can we have better conversations about societal issues? Can we agree to disagree and actually take the time to maybe probe a little further, get to know who we're talking to and disagreeing with a little bit more, and come to at least some understanding? I'm not saying everybody, I do not want a world where everybody thinks the same way. Please, no. No, we are all different for a reason. But we need to work at earning each other's respect, not just jumping right into the insults and really, really alienating our own position and alienating ourselves from everyone except people who agree with us. That's not, you don't want to fall into that group think. You just don't. Nobody does, but it's easy to, and we all do to a certain extent. I just want to promote freer thinking, more open discussion, more open talking. That's what this podcast is for. And occasionally I'm going to talk about stuff that has nothing to do with politics or anything like that. I want to take a break from those things too. Why not enjoy things like I spent, I think, half an hour talking about gardening? It was so much fun. That's something I enjoy. I want to hear what you enjoy. I want you to share interests with me. I want you to ask me questions. I want to ask you questions. That's what these platforms are for, right? Get to know other people from various backgrounds. This is exciting. We're in an exciting time. I can, for free, start a podcast with a minimal investment in equipment. And I can put it out there, and you can check it out, and you can criticize it, you can support it, you can communicate with me, and hopefully I get better and better equipment as I go on with this. I'd love to have some guests on. There's a lot of people I'd like to talk to just around where I live who have interesting opinions and takes on things. About religion, about politics, things that we're not supposed to talk about. But guess what? This is the place to do it. And why not make a goal of doing it reasonably? And really reach out and try to understand where other people are coming from. Okay. I'm not going to beat that dead horse anymore. Or I'm not going to beat that horse till it's dead or whatever. I shouldn't even be talking about beating horses. Strictly a metaphor. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this. I'm coming up on an hour, I see. Maybe not exactly. I'm about at an hour for my first one. It's going to take a while to edit this one down and all that and finally get it out there. I want to get working on that because I'd like to put this up tonight. Because it's Saturday. We're looking forward to Memorial Day weekend, next weekend. I've got some stuff planned, more gardening things. Hopefully be able to put out another podcast before then. I'm excited to do more of this. Shout out to my family and friends. If you see my link on Facebook and actually follow it and listen to this, I understand it's an hour. Not everybody has an hour to listen to it. I don't expect you to. We've all got stuff we have to do. But if you are interested in hearing more and the YouTube platform didn't work out so great, let me know. I'm going to try and work on actually making it actual real podcast that you could potentially get in iTunes and things like that. That costs a little money. I'm just trying to keep it free right now for myself so I can work out the kinks and get better at doing it, because I actually want to do a little bit better research when I talk about these topics and actually have something a little bit more to say than just my opinion, even though that's I don't think that's bad either. I want to, but I do want feedback, even if it's not about just the quality of the podcast. Questions, comments, criticisms about what I'm talking about here. Criticisms, comments, questions about how I sound on this. Hopefully after I'm done editing, it sounds okay. Anyway, let me know what you think. I really enjoyed doing this tonight. I'm excited about gardening. It's just a really good day. It's a nice day out. The sun came out, and there's a cool breeze right now, and I'm happy to be alive. So I hope you are too. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And you've been listening to Buddy Woken, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.